you should not be thinking about buying that upcoming RTX 4090 or RTX 4080, either model. And I'm going to tell you why I think this with 5 reasons why you might want to stay away from this generation of Nvidia GPUs, which you won't want to miss. Hey YouTube, I'm Danny bringing you the hottest information for all the newest PC tech. Welcome to the channel. The biggest and most important reason not to go with the new RTX 40 series graphics cards is the price. I don't know how much you know about these 40 series cards already, but the RTX 4090 comes in at $1,599 USD. The RTX 4080 16GB comes in at $1,199, and the RTX 4080 12GB comes in at $899. Now, the 4080 12GB should have been called the RTX 4070, but they couldn't charge $900 for a 4070, so they called it a 4080 12GB. That's really all there is to it. The 4080 12GB is actually a cut down card. You not only get 4 gigs of less VRAM than the 4080 16GB, you actually get a lesser performing GPU. Now, I can't prove this because the cards aren't out yet, but that's the gist of it based on the specs that the GPU has. As I said, we don't know the RTX 4080 or 4090's performance numbers yet. That information will be coming later this month. Another thing is AMD is about to release their next generation of GPUs, RDNA 3, which will be available on November 3rd. Now that will be something to look forward to. They're promising tremendous improvements across the entire range comparatively to their last generation RDNA 2 based GPUs. And that was a huge performance leap. Speaking of things to look forward to, crypto mining has just switched over to proof of stake. This is reason number 2 why you shouldn't be buying the 40 series cards yet. GPUs have become no longer profitable for mining. In fact, they actually lose money after factoring in energy costs. This is a good thing for consumers because it means that used mining cards will be flooding sites such as eBay. Now, there's 2 different ways you can buy a card. You can buy a new card or you can buy a used card. Buying a used card is a little risky because you really don't know what you're getting into. You could be buying someone's old mining card that they didn't take care of at all and they just ran 100% 24/7 and the card is just burnt out. Or you could be buying a card that someone really took care of, they only used it for gaming. You really don't know. It's kind of a shot in the dark. My advice in this, if you're buying a used card on a site like eBay, you can contact the sellers directly. You can message them through their sale listing and say, hey, tell me about this card a little bit. How did you take care of it? Look for specific words when you're buying the cards. Things like dusted frequently, undervolted, or repasted are good key indicators that the card was well taken care of. Buying it used could save you a huge chunk of money, but there is great risk for great reward. The second way you could buy a card is new. If you're buying a new card, you get a warranty, you get peace of mind, and it's guaranteed. You buy it, it ships from the manufacturer, and it arrives at your door. It's in the box, pre-packaged, all that stuff, so there's no risk to you when you're buying new. However, you're paying a little bit more on that initial cost of the card. I'm gonna be straight with you here. Card prices have pretty much stagnated. They've been dropping for the past couple months. I mean, they dropped from February of this year all the way till now, but they've kind of plateaued out. They're really not tanking much more, and they're good. They're not bad prices. I think they're going to go down some more because of this proof of stake switching. So GPUs are not mining profitable anymore. What are these miners going to do with their cards? They're going to continue dumping them on sites like eBay. Even if you're not willing to pick up a used card and you want a new card, that doesn't mean other people aren't willing to pick them up. So prices will continue to drop slightly because the mining cards are all over eBay and the retailers know they need to get rid of these 30 series cards before the 40 series, mid-tier, and budget segment come out. This brings me to my third point. Nvidia has a ton of cards that they need to sell yet. I believe prices will either continue to fall or they'll stay the same, as I said. They can't charge more than what they've been charging because the RTX 4080 12GB comes in at $900. At least you know the 3080 will have to be less than $900. Heck, it'll have to be less than $800. This is why I'm urging you not to buy the RTX 40 series. Nvidia knows that they can charge that premium because the other cards are still selling at $800 or $700 for a 3080, and the 3080 is 2 years old at this point. So for the 4080 to be $200 more is simply unacceptable in my eyes, especially if the performance ends up being not so good compared to last generation's cards. I'm willing to bet around the holiday season, Nvidia is going to have a fire sale on all their GPUs just to be able to clear remaining inventory, prepping for the 40 series remaining card launches. My recommendation for you now is to go with last generation rather than this generation because you still get great performance at an even better price. Something that is a major topic for the RTX 40 series is power requirements. There's a new power supply that's coming out called ATX 3.0 or PCI 5.0, which some people are calling it. They're pretty much the same type of thing. But power supply requirements are climbing at an astronomical rate. If you look at 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, power supplies didn't need to be near what they are now. To be able to run an RTX 2080 Ti, you only needed a 600 to 650 watt power supply. The new graphics cards coming out require a special 16-pin power adapter to be able to function. You can see here, it's the connector by Intel. It has actually 12 pins on the bottom, and then it's got 4 pins on top for the data connection. The additional 4 pins will give you data communication between the power supply and the GPU. One of the interesting things is the RTX 4090 requires 450 watts of power just for itself, not including the whole system, that's just the card. The RTX 4080 16GB wants 320 watts, while the RTX 4080 12GB needs 285 watts. So my question is, how many ATX 3.0 power supplies are out there? The answer is none. Now, these GPUs haven't come out yet, so there's really no need to have the power supplies out. I'm sure the power supply will release either the same time or before when the GPUs come out, because if you can't even plug it into your system, what's the point? But another question I have is how much will these things cost? $250, $300, $400? Who knows? The 4090 and 4080 are horrible performance per dollar. I mean, every tech tuber has already said it. You don't even need performance charts from the individual testing and stuff to prove that. And Nvidia definitely plans to sell the 30 series cards like the 3080, 3070, and 3060s alongside the 40 series cards. I mean, they said it at their press conference. I think they're here to stay for a little bit, at least until they clear out that inventory that I was talking about that they've overstocked on because of the GPU mining issue. My point is, you can pick up last generation's cards and get better performance per dollar now. When those cards came out, yes, they were astronomically expensive. A 3090 Ti was $2,000 at launch. Look at what they are now. I went online and did a little bit of shopping on my own. I don't recommend the 3090 Ti because it's still kind of overpriced for the performance gain you get over a regular 3090. You can go over on Amazon. They've got a Zotac RTX 3090 for $999 right now on Amazon. So right between the 4080 16GB and 4080 12GB comes the 3090 from Zotac. It's $1,000 and you get 24 gigabytes of VRAM and pretty much the same performance and better performance than the 4080 12GB. The MSI Gaming X Trio RX 6900 XT is the card by AMD. It's a 16 gigabyte card and it competes with the RTX 3090. So you can expect pretty much the same performance in these titles as the 3090 Ti, and you can pick up the Gaming X Trio card for $699 USD. Great card, awesome performance. I think people really need to stop sleeping on AMD because they are really undercutting Nvidia like crazy. And you would be hard pressed to find better performance for better value than what AMD's last generation is offering. That's why I said it's so exciting of a time. I can't wait for RDNA 3. I really hope AMD brings it to Nvidia to kind of knock them down a little bit, especially on the price category. They're just being unrealistic. Now, I made a video recently where I outlined the best gaming PC builds, and spoiler alert, AMD is at the top of every category. But if you want to check it out, I'll leave it right over here and you can take a look at it now because this video is over. And as I always say, I'm Danny with Danny's Tech Channel, and I'll see you in the next one.